Hey, I just wanted to say that the reason why I haven't uploaded in a while is because my tripod broke, and I kind of had to make a video up in like very short amount of time. So the script that was a little bit rushed, but reviews will start back soon, I promise. Opinions are everywhere. You can't go 10 seconds into a conversation without someone giving you their mediocre opinion that you never really wanted to know, but are forced to listen to because you don't want to sound like a jerk. And there's no place with more opinions that'll get you killed than a franchise aimed at 10-year-olds that has hundreds of cute animals that you befriend and eventually force to fight other cute animals. I'm talking about Pokemon. I've said in the past that I want to branch out into other content franchises, and tier lists are the easiest way to either make a lot of friends or millions of enemies. And not only a tier list on Pokemon, but a tier list on starter Pokemon, which is most likely the category with the highest number of top favorites in the community. Needless to say, I'm going to have to sleep with one eye open tonight. For the first few tiers, I'll be skimming through a lot of the Pokemon, but the higher we go on the list, the more I'll have to say. So we'll slow it down once we reach that point. Remember that these are just opinions and that it's nothing worth getting aggressive about. So if you disagree with what I have to say, that's fine. Let me know that in the comments so I can find your family and bring them suffering. For legal reasons, that's a joke. We're going to start with a tier with the lowest amount of Pokemon in it, the F tier. All of the Pokemon in this tier are middle stages that make me want to vomit. Drizzile is the least offensive, but the edgy emo middle stage is so overbearing that it hurts. The edge is so sharp that I can cut my wrist with it. A good amount of middle stages have that rebellious and angsty trope put on their personality, which I'm not a fan of, but they took it way too far with Drizzile. Quaxwell is ugly and has stupid hair, while also having an angsty attitude. Quaxley has a respectable pompadour, while Quaxwell has an ugly perm. And Thwacky is just... Thwacky. It's undoubtedly one of the worst designs ever shot out. He's built like a trapezoid. He's the pure reason why I think the Grookey line is the worst starter line ever. Period. Moving on and saying fuck you reverse alphabetical order, we're going on to C tier. This tier absolutely has some extremely hot takes that I know will get me death threats. Namely, Sceptile, but I'll get to him soon. Disclaimer, there's a massive gap between F and C tier, which is why we skip D and D. I despise the Pokemon in F tier. While C tier is filled with Pokemon I'm not really interested in or care for, but I don't dislike them. They're just slightly below average. Just like F tier, C tier has plenty of middle stages, which is to be expected. Charmeleon, Quilladin, Brionne, Croconaw, and Crocolore are just worse versions of the first and final stages, but have a bit of charm. Combuskin looks like a cock, and yes, both kinds. And Monferno is just weirdly uncanny to me, and I have no idea why. The first and final forms are always used in promotional materials, so the middle stages are pretty overlooked, especially in the early games. While there is a lot of middle stages, there is one first stage in the tier, being Chikorita. I don't know, she just feels very naked, which is how I describe the entire line, honestly. The few final stages aren't terrible by any means, I just don't think I've had time to connect with them all, since I haven't played any games with them as my starter. Sceptile is an okay final form, but I don't see all the hype. A lot of people claim he's supposed to be a ninja in a way, but I don't see it at all. Hisuian Decidueye is really dumb to be honest, but Base Decidueye is too base to put him any lower. Infernape is alright, but the colors are all over the place to me. And before anyone tries to cancel me for putting Quaquaval in C, I am not homophobic. In fact, he'd be in high B tier because I respect them putting in an extremely homosexual duck as a starter, if not for the feet. They terrify me. Now on to B tier, aka they're pretty cool, but not for me tier. After reviewing the list, the one that surprised me the most was Incineroar, because 1, it's the starter I chose in Sun and Moon. In fact, my Incineroar was a female, which is pretty cool. And 2, because I love playing him in Smash Ultimate. But neither of those can help the fact the design is pretty meh. It's some pretty heavy furry bait, but that's not my problem with it. I just think the fur patterns are really bland, and he reminds me way too much of Tony the Tiger. But he had some pretty good competition since he's in a trio with 2 amazing final stages. There's probably gonna be that one guy who says that Venusaur is the best from Kanto because of typing and it beats a lot of gyms and blah blah blah. I'm just not a fan of the design. It's not a bad one, but it really just looks like a fatter Ivysaur with a more toad look. Bulbasaur is cute, sure, but the colors are super bland. In fact, a lot of the Pokemon in this tier I think are so close to being great if just for a slight tweak in the design. Typhlosion has an awesome idea of having a flaming neck for his main source of attacks, but it's just not fully realized. They clearly took note of that with Hisuian Typhlosion. Blaziken, Emboar, Chestnut, and Inteleon all share a problem with color palette, or proportions, or even both. The rest are super bland and don't bring anything unique at all to Pokemon designs. Now on to A tier, where a few of the starters I chose in my playthroughs are. It's either that, or they have such a good design that I have no choice but to love them. I'm covering a few select Pokemon in this tier, because I want to talk about them with their entire line, as I think the whole line is top tier. The ones in A tier being slightly below top tier, obviously. There's a few middle stages in this tier that I like more than the final stages, which is very hard to do. That being Grovyle, Grovyle, I don't know, Grovyle, Bayleaf, Torracat, Golava, and Ivysaur. I either find their design more interesting or I've had some experience that makes me like them more. Actually, looking at it again, I've noticed that 90% of these are designs I think are such bangers, but I just lack the personal attachment of using them in the game. For example, Skeledirge. I think all of the concepts blend together great, but I never had the time to appreciate the design and Pokemon more. Same for Feraligatr, Hisuian Typhlosion, and all the first stage starters. There isn't too many controversial to enjoy Pokemon, which, by the way, it's absurd that it's controversial to like a Pokemon. Like, who cares if people like Mr. Mime or some shit? Sure, it's weird, but people like what they like. Maybe Cinderace could make some people have no respect for me, since I know a lot of people just see it as furry bait, but he was my starter in Sword and Shield, so there's a bit of personal attachment. And his signature move has an awesome animation that I wish we had more of in starters. None of the Paldea starters have a signature move animation on the level of Cinderace, and it's a damn shame. Oh, Charizard is here too, I guess. I don't know, he's a pretty cool dragon that's not actually a dragon. I know people say he's overhyped, but I mean, he's still pretty cool. Only slightly cooler than the other flying starter. Not by type, just like he's a bird. We really should get some more bird starters that can, like, actually fly. Seriously, we have 3 of them, and none of them are flying type, which I guess is fair, because it would be pretty boring if they were. Speaking of birds, this worked a lot better when it was still Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, X, whatever. Fuck you, Elon. X is such a dumb name to say out loud. But yeah, I'll post some random stuff here and there. Might be funny, might not be funny. Who knows? Going off script here, I don't even know why I'm trying to promote any other social media accounts. Well, just Twitter, because it's the only one I have. But, like, Elon Musk is literally digging a grave for fucking X by constant updates that make 0 sense. God damn it, Elon. Why do you have to fuck up everything? Now for my absolute favorites. The S tier. All these Pokemon are either incredibly cute, incredibly cool, or incredibly hot. I mean, hot because, you know, fire type and... Anyway, at the bottom we have Greninja, which is, in my opinion, the most overrated starter ever made. But, admittedly, a frog ninja that throws water shurikens is pretty awesome, just not as cool as people say it is. Next is Primarina. You'll notice a bit of trend with me gravitating towards the more feminine designs. Not for any weird reasons, you gross bastards. I just think they're pretty and are nice breaks from the designs that are trying way too hard to be cool. For an example of such Pokemon, look at the one right behind Primarina. Next we have Snivy, who has the rest of her line in A tier. The other forms are really nice and all, but Snivy has a personality that I really appreciate. There's a lot of bias since the most amount of the Pokemon anime I've watched was the black and white anime when I was young, and I adored Snivy in the anime. Let's do another line. Squirtle, Wartortle, and Blastoise. Little fun fact, turtles are my favorite animals by far. So it was a no-brainer pick for S tier, apart from Wartortle. Nor there's any other turtles in this tier. There's nothing wrong with Wartortle. In fact, I don't really know how I'd change the design, but it's in the weird middle ground of cute and cool, but doesn't excel at either components, which I guess is what middle stages are for. Skipping one Pokemon for now, next is Mudkip, and Swampert, who's an A. I don't think there's too much I need to say. Mudkip is a perfect lad. Definitely one of the best Pokemon to have as a pet. Swampert is really, really solid, but he does look slightly derpy. I think it's the head, honestly. Now for Piplup and Empoleon. Another fun fact, why did I say Empoleon like that? Another fun fact, penguins are my second favorite animals, and not too much needs to be said. Piplup is just so adorable and precious, while Empoleon is just dripped out of his mind, god damn. He has some designer shit on for sure. There's very few lines where I think the Pokemon gets better and better. They either fall off at the middle stage, or the first stage is just unbearably cute. But when a line manages to get better with each evolution, it's something special. And that something special is the Oshawott line. Woo! Just an incredible line with no flaws. Oshawott is unbelievably adorable, the definition of no thoughts head empty. Duat is both really cute and really badass. And Samurott? Oh god, Samurott. Shame on all of you who hate this line just because it turns into a quadruped. A samurai otter with shells as blades because otters pick up shells in real life. That's just so genius, I don't feel like I deserve having it in this pitiful existence of mine. And then you make it better with Hisuian Samurott. Before we move on, I want to cover the last 2 in A tier. Fennekin and Sprigatito. They're so damn cute but also fairly basic. They're pretty much on the exact same level in terms of why and how much I like them, but the rest of their line is fantastic. So let's go over them. There's now 6 more Pokemon remaining, with 3 lines still in play. 3 pairs of 2 in each line. Actually works out pretty well. and we'll be going through them from lowest to highest. First off, Delphox. Fennekin was my first starter ever, and you'll always have some bias with your first. Trust me, I know, I'm the first child in my family. While I don't think the design hits perfectly, the concept is something I adore. A Pyro Witch Fox just works so well together that I can't help but appreciate it. I think if the patterns were done a bit better, or maybe even if they tried suggesting a witch hat with ear fluff, this design would be perfect. But I can't admit it leaves a bit to be desired. Next, Turtwig. The perfect boy, oh my god. If I could choose any Pokemon to have as a pet, it would be Arceus for obvious reasons. But as a normal pet, it would be Turtwig. You cannot convince me otherwise that there is a single cuter Pokemon than Turtwig. I want to hold him like he's a giant burger and give him a kiss on his dumb little forehead. I love my Turtwig plush as if he was my son. Just the most adorable Pokemon. No. Most adorable creation possible. Florigato. What's there not to like about Florigato? I mean, she's stylish, she's cute, and she got a yo-yo. I think they truly nailed a good middle stage with this. The only thing I can really say is off-putting is the giant leap from Sprigatito to Florigato. But as a standalone design, perfect. The fur designs are so unique and eye-catching from the mask to the torso piece. Everything just pops out so well. I love the Puss in Boots inspiration as well, and they really nailed that personality to a T. The yo-yo feels a tiny bit misplaced because Meowscarada completely tosses out that concept, but on Florigato it's awesome. It almost makes me wish they saved the concept for an entire line, but I can't really complain. They put it on a really cool middle stage. Here we are. The top 3. Unironically, incredibly hard to decide this top 3. They're also great in my eyes for different reasons. I know, there's some very suspicious choices here, but will you guys give me a chance to explain myself? Well, after the 3rd place, which is Torterra. Take Turtwig, an already perfect being. Now give him some steroids and throw him in some radiation to turn him into this kaiju looking motherfucker. I don't even know what to talk about in the design without already saying what everyone else thinks when they see it. It's an awesome turtle with a whole ecosystem on a shelf. In terms of pure cool factor, Torterra is taking the cake in the starter category. Not to mention his appearance in Detective Pikachu, which was just awesome. Alright, yeah, get the laughs out. My top 2 picks were furry bait. Ha ha. Can you people stop being so shallow that you base your opinion of a Pokemon from if it's bipedal and has fur? These designs and Pokemon have tons to offer, and I will not accept any slander just because they have the most porn of any starter on the internet. That goes for the people that make fun of others because Vaporeon is their favorite evolution. You're terrible people. Stop it. Try to separate the Pokemon themselves from internet culture, and maybe you'll get some damn culture yourselves. Now with that all out of the way, my second favorite from all the starters is Braixen. Shit, right. I have to give my reasons. Well, like I said before, a Pyro Witch Fox is a cool idea, and and she was my first starter. So okay, even if my reason is something along the lines of falling for furry bait, they gave these Pokemon leggings. That was probably really loud. They gave these Pokemon leggings. Blame the game, not the player. That's all I'm saying. Jokes aside, the real reason why Braixen is so high up is a fun little game called Pokémon Tournament. An amazing game that deserves so much better. A Pokemon fighting game should have been a gold mine, but for whatever reason it didn't gain much traction, at least from a casual standpoint. I know there was like tournaments and all that, but it didn't last as long as it should have. That's what I'm trying to say. Not like younger me cared about the sales it was getting. I loved that shit. It's responsible for making me adore so many Pokemon, like my favorite Pokemon of all time, Gengar, and others like Krogunk and of course Braixen. She had a really fun personality in the game, and while she wasn't a character I particularly enjoyed playing, the personality and design of a Pokemon is what really sells it to me. Because at the end of the day, Pokemon are meant to be friends. Fake digital monster friends, sure, but friends nonetheless. And I could definitely see myself being friends with a Braixen. Don't look too much into that, you sickos. And yeah, again, first starter, lots of great memories, all that. And for whatever reason, I do enjoy feminine designs. Again, don't look into that, weirdos. And that leaves one last Pokemon to fill in my number 1 spot. For a long time, I thought Braixen was my favorite starter, and it held true even after Scarlet and Violet released. But after really thinking about it while making this list, I realized that wasn't the case. Not because I liked Braixen less, or because nostalgia was wearing off or anything, but it was because of my playthrough of Violet. It was something truly special to me. You can throw tomatoes at me all you want for enjoying the clearly unfinished and buggy mess Scarlet and Violet is. I'm not here to defend any of that, but I'm not going to deny the blast I had playing it. It's easy to say, but it really did make me feel like I was a kid again playing my brand new Pokemon game I got for my birthday. The new Pokemon I saw, the low poly places I saw, the characters I met, the battles I fought, all of it felt refreshing. Which may be weird to hear considering all they changed was moving away from a linear game to a semi-open world, but not really because levels don't change, so you kinda have to go in the order or you risk completely ruining your playthrough. But after feeling so depressed and disappointed from Sword and Shield, I had a really scary thought that I was growing up. I didn't enjoy the things I used to enjoy. Pokemon was no longer this magical world I could indulge myself in to keep away from all the things that made life a drag. Pokemon was so much of my childhood, and it was sad to think that it was fading away. I know this sounds like I'm trauma dumping, but bear with me, it actually helps understand why this Pokemon is number one. And then Scarlet and Violet released, and that made me realize something else. None of that was true. Sword and Shield were just shit games. Pokemon Violet completely rejuvenated the love I had for Pokemon. It gave me a team I truly loved. It gave me characters I truly adored. It gave me memorable battles, simple but extremely effective plot points. It's one of the rare games that made me have a smile on my face the whole way through. It had an ending that blew my fucking mind with a killer soundtrack by Toby fucking Fox. Amazing plot twist, spectacular new Pokemon, a kick-ass final boss, and an ending that had me choking up in tears. Call me a stupid little consumer if you want, but this not new and improved craze for Pokemon made me get back into all the collecting I used to do as a kid. Dozens of collectibles, figures, Legos even, plushes, pins, and new addiction to cards. Everywhere I look, there's something Pokemon in my room that makes me smile. And even if they're not real, the memories I have with Pokemon are. And the one Pokemon that's been with me the whole time through this joyous feeling that I used to have as a kid is Miraidon. Wait, no, the other one that's been with me the whole time. Meowscarada. My beloved Minty the Meowscarada took me through my Violet playthrough and elevated to a new level. She gave me that exact feeling that Pokemon induces. The pure glee of a brand new pet to adventure with when she was a small Sprigatito. That exhilarating feeling of her turning into a stylish and sly Florigato. And the proud feeling of seeing her become a strong, fast, and mischievous Masquerada, taking down gym after gym, trainer after trainer, obstacle after obstacle, all with Minty by my side. There isn't a single other starter, hell, Pokemon in general, that has a concept, design, and personality that I love more than Meowscarada. Well, maybe not personality, I still love my troublemaking purple fella. But Meowscarada is still so fantastic. A masquerading magician cat who sneaks bombs to blow people up. She gives a lot of Zoro vibes. No, the other Zoro. I don't know what to call this sort of the character design, but it's so top tier. And giving it to a starter that already ticks off a lot of my boxes really just seals the deal. Without Meowscarada, I don't think I'd love Pokemon again as much as I do now. I was so close to picking Fuecoco, and while he's an absolute amazing lad, I don't think the line would have made any impact on me. While I was finishing up this script, I actually got something special in the mail. The final card I needed for this page of my binder. It's the only set I went out of my way to complete, and it's the only set that I'll probably look at daily. I'm probably going to order those Meowscarada and Florigato plushes that came out too, but I'll definitely have to hide them because people will be freaked out. But yeah, Meowscarada, undoubtedly my favorite starter. And honestly, while writing this, I think it's my second favorite Pokemon of all time, funnily enough. My Violet playthrough was made so much more special because of this line. But what's your favorite starter? Does it have a reasoning better than mine? I bet it doesn't, you little fucker. If you enjoyed, then consider liking and subscribing, and maybe giving a suggestion for another Pokemon related video you'd want me to do. I already have a few ideas, but I love engagement, so please engage. Oh, and please actually, it would mean a lot if you did subscribe. I'm close to 60 subscribers right now, and that's amazing since I'm still trying to fathom the fact that I hit 50 recently. But I think it would be even more awesome if somehow I get to 100 before the end of the year. So gonna try to get to that, so please subscribe. That's all from me, and to end the video, let's end it with a funny picture of Meowscarada.